Were you ever that 1 in 1 million? If so, what's your story? I had 8 wisdom teeth. The dentist had never seen anything like it and called the whole office in to marvel at my teeth. I had one in my sinus cavity. Found Shark Boy's cousin. Hey. Thanks for the platinum. My first one. I was struck by lightning while talking on a landline. This was in the early 90s. Lightning struck the telephone line and traveled through the handset to my ear. My parents drove me to the ER. I couldn't talk very well. My brain knew what I wanted to say, but my mouth didn't want to say it. I had a terrible stutter. My doctor told me that I had had a dose of good, old-fashioned electroshock therapy. My speech was normal the next day, but I get a terrible headache whenever a thunderstorm comes through. That's just your brain shouting, stay away from the fucking phone. I slept wrong one night and pinched a nerve in my neck so severely I lost the right side of my body. It just went silent like it wasn't there for months. I woke up in the worst pain I've ever experienced and couldn't talk, move or do anything. The ER doctor thought I was having a stroke. My doctor had never seen a case as severe as mine and it was purely a freak accident. Recovery took months, but I have use of my leg and hand again, with some numbness. Other than pain and spasms, I'm mostly back to normal. I hate reading stuff like this. If you're not safe lying asleep on a mattress, where are you safe? Not sure if this is a blessing or a curse, but I'm an extremely tall human, 7 feet 3 inches, yes really. Not sure how rare that is. 1 in 1.6 million of being over 7 feet tall. 1 in 2 of being asked how's the weather up there. I'd say that's pretty rare. I've only ever met one at 7'1" and he's a famous Danish basketball player. But don't you get tired of all the comments and jokes? Thoughtful face. I have completely unexplained hearing loss in my left ear. I had a cyst in it when I was 6, and the surgery to remove it and fix the ear was successful. When I was about 12, I woke up one morning with a killer headache and ear ringing, and after 3 days it went away and so did my hearing. Doctors did multiple examinations and an MRI and they said it should be totally functional. It just isn't. 1 in a million case. Did your ENT ever look at steroids for sudden sensory neural hearing loss? I had almost the exact thing when I was 14. Woke up one day with ringing in my ear and by noon all sound was gone on my left side. I also had an MRI looking for a brain tumor, but they never found a cause. I was able to regain till 50% hearing with a heavy regimen of steroids, but I know that treatment is less effective as time goes on. The weird thing is that SSHL occurs mostly in people in their 30s, 60s, and when I had my hearing loss, 2 other teens in my town also got very similar SSHL. For my 7th birthday we went to Disneyland. They just happened to be having a car a day giveaway when we were there. For my 7th birthday, Mickey Mouse gave me a Pontiac Firebird. Do you still have the car? When I was a kid I went to an air show. I entered a drawing for what I thought was a Ford Mustang. When I won, I discovered on stage that I won a wristwatch with a Mustang on the face, a horse not the car. It was huge, kinda ugly and boyish. Bought a new strap and rocked that thing for a year. I have a very rare skin disease that only 1 in a million people get. I've been told that I'll probably never meet another person in my lifetime with it. Haley disease for those interested. So rare they named it twice. I have symmetric bilateral coloboma of the iris and retina. Essentially, my pupils are shaped like keyholes instead of circles. A single coloboma is pretty rare, double coloboma is even more rare, and double symmetrical. Well, you get it. Any chance we can get a pic? That sounds amazing. Does it affect your vision at all? Light sensitivity. I once guessed a 6-digit random combination on the first try. It was the only try I planned to give, as a kind of scratch pad whatever moment. What was it? Literally 1 in a million. I was in 2 separate car crashes in 2 separate cars in less than 45 minutes apart. I was 2. If you count the ambulance. Someone pulled out in front of me and I hit them because I had no time to brake. Had some bad back pain so an ambulance took me to the hospital. On the way there, someone pulled out in front of them. Diagnosed with an extremely rare liver disease, primary hyperoxaluria. Some 300 people in the United States currently have it. Basically pass a lot of kidney stones and need a double transplant to fix. Only 300 people in the United States. Most literal example of 1 in a million I've ever seen. I'm on the donor registry. I hope you find your match soon. Less than 3. I was so freakishly allergic to ant and bee venom as a child that a single sting from a single little common black ant put me into anaphylactic shock. When my allergist was preparing to start immunotherapy for me, He found that the in-office lab equipment wasn't sensitive enough to measure the infinitesimally small amount of allergen with which to start my titration, so he had to send a sample of my blood to Johns Hopkins so that their lab could determine how much to give me. I did immunotherapy for several years to reach an immune response level at which it would be safe for me to basically exist in a non-frozen climate. Good news, though, I'm good now. I've had a few run-ins with ants and wasps since my immunotherapy and my body didn't freak out and shut down, and research indicates that if it hasn't done that after this long, I'm probably safe for, maybe forever? I don't have EpiPens and I'm not overly afraid of ants or bees. I've got the middle toes on both feet webbed. So did Stalin. Quack. This feels like a fun fact but at the same time a threat. My ex was struck by lightning several times and lived. Died in a car accident though. So not as lucky as he claimed to be. Being struck by lightning once is unlucky. Being struck by lightning multiple times is lucky. I was on Tinder and was talking to this guy. He was supposed to meet me for dinner. I texted him and no answer. Then I texted him on Tinder. Said that he couldn't make it. However, I got a text back from the number. It wasn't the guy that I thought I texted. It was the actor Gerard Butler. I thought he was lying until he FaceTimed me. Nice guy. Had 2 11 centimeters benign tumors growing in my spine, resulting in gradual paralysis from my chest down. They had no idea how the tumors formed. Surgery took 11 hours when they thought it would take 4 because the tumors were so complexly woven throughout my spine. I now have pretty much half a spine and chronic pain, but I'd take that over losing my life from paralysis and being unable to breathe. Praying gesture. I have an unknown type of autosomal dominant centronuclear myopathy. My type of it is so rare that they haven't even seen it before. Getting diagnosed was a multi-year struggle. They pretty much had to rule out everything else. It doesn't feel great to be in this club by myself. Countless blood draws, MRIs, CAT scans and a biopsy and genetic test. So far, it looks like my father and I are the only ones with it. Yay. Got a rare but potentially deadly rash from a medication. I laughed when I first saw the bottle with the warning, and said knowing my luck I'd get it. I did. Ended up in a burn unit with my skin sloughing off. Frown, not a fun week. No sure about the odds on this one, but I survived a non-survivable plane crush. I was on an old Po 2, famous for being very safe and uncrushable, on a tour of the desert in western China when I was like 7. My father's friend who hosted me and piloted the plane didn't survive, but somehow I got out with a concussion and apparently passed out for almost a day in the middle of the desert, in the wreckage of the crash, 50 kilometers from the town/airport, on the edge of the desert. The people who found me were some tree planters. They plant greens in the desert to protect towns from sandstorm. A lot of people live in these desert towns in China do this. Found me on their way picking up a shipment, and the only reason they looked was they were making a bet on how fast the egg would cook in the sand and went off the road to test. I am allergic to the cold. Like literally. I get intense hives, swelling, I pass out, and throw up. Doesn't even have to be freezing. Below 45 degrees without a jacket and I can't do it. I have to carry an EpiPen with me in the event that I drink something too cold or have a severe reaction. Please tell me you moved somewhere warm.